Hi to all you watch friends, welcome to Bulang and Sons, and today we want to share with you a modern watch, a new release by Tudor, the Tudor Pelagos FXD, created in collaboration with the Marine Nationale, the blue one, the new one, just out in the market. We have it here for a few days to review it, shoot it, and tell you what we feel about it. So stay tuned and get on board on this review. Many of you know us maybe now already for a few years and know that we are, big fan of the Tudors, certainly the vintage Tudors. We did a lot of reviews in the past about the modern Tudors, but certainly the blue snowflakes and the snowflake watches, the submariners of the 70s and 80s, always have been a very, very big passion for us. And certainly the Tudor MNs. Maybe you have seen our videos in the past and seen the many Tudor Marine Nationales that we have offered over the years. To be honest, I think we are one of the main, places where you can find the passion for these watches, and also have been able to find these watches over the years. I was very, very honored and very lucky over the last years. I was even able to find a few from the original owners, talk to the original commandos, learn all about the history, how they were used, and what kind of circumstances these watches have been, enduring, and also, what really was important to them. So I'm very happy to share this watch with you, which is the new release that Tudor created with the Marine Nationale for their combat divers. And really excited for this new watch. Not only you will know us from, the many vintage Tudors that we offered in our web shop, and the many Tudor MNs we have written about, articles and show to you and offer to you, but also probably you know us from the many Tudor reviews we did over the years. That's all started with a new heritage line when Tudor brought out the new heritage chronograph in grey. We were lucky to be the first worldwide to get one of those. And we did an extended review back then, and it was a great success, and we really loved that watch. And from there, we built a relationship with Tudor over the years, where we visited them in Baselworld with their new releases, received watches for reviews, and also we visited them, and I'm very proud and honored to say that we have become friends of the brand, but also the brand Tudor have become a really great friend of the brand Bulang and Sons, because we really trust them, and we really, we have met the people, we know the people behind the brand, and we know their big passion for the watches. So it's not just the marketing when you see all the releases and the heritage releases from Tudor over the last years, but when you talk to the people behind the brand, up to the designer, they are also vintage collectors. They really love their heritage. They really understand, also the Tudor MNs and the military background of their watches, the tool watch background of these watches, the purposes, the aesthetics and everything. And they are really also collectors. So this makes me even more excited to share with you the new Tudor MN, which is created for the Marine Nationale, because I know that the people who are behind this project are really also Tudor Marine Nationale fans and lovers for years and years, and they will have put all their heart, their spirit and their soul into this watch to create a modern version of that all-time classic. So for us, and for me personally, it's really important, when I talk about these kind of watches and show them for you, that I really trust and believe also the people behind these things. And I really know, these are not watches just made for marketing, as you see with so many watches now out there, where heritage has become more of a marketing tool, more of a marketing theme. And with Tudor is really, the true love for their their DNA, for all their heritage and the vintage watches, reflected in a modern line, where they take the best elements out of certain kind of pieces, use these elements to get inspired to create a modern watch, which I really like with these watches, that they are not just recreation of old models, but they are really inspired by the old Big Crown. The Black Bay 58 is created really with inspiration for the old big crown, because I also know the people behind it are really love the big crowns, you know. So they really wanted to do something modern that you know, takes credit and shares the love for these old pieces. And the same goes with this Marine Nationale, but also the other lines, where they really wanted to pick up, you know, their old DNA and create something new for the modern guys for this day of life, but with a lot of the vibe. And what I find most important, the iconic lines and really the iconic typology of the vintage pieces. So that's what I like so much about all of these pieces by Tudor, certainly by this one. They are really pure, they really still have that, you know, iconic shape, iconic design, that is lasting and timeless also towards the future. As said, you know, we did a lot of reviews about the modern heritage line Tudors in the past. Over the last years, we visited Baselworld when there were new releases. You know, I own one of the early black bays with a black dial, one of the, you know, the early ones with still the old logo on it. So it was a really rare piece because they were only in small numbers produced. I own one of these. The Black Bay 58 is super nice. I already talked about it. And also the Pelagos, we did a review on in the past. We had the watch for a few weeks. I took it with me on my holiday on Ibiza, and really it was such a vibrant, cool watch. What I really liked about the, you know, the base of the Pelagos is that with the titanium case, but also with all the technology in it, you know, the technical design, the refinement in details, the closing of the bracelet, you know, even the details on the dial, you saw that it was really inspired by these old pieces, but taken into a modern, very technical watch. So the Pelagos for me is really a modern, technical, you know, dive watch with all the refinement, but also the iconic design of the past, but really modern look with all the technical things. And also this one is called Pelagos, also has also the titanium case and these great finishes and stuff. For me, it's a different vibe. It's less a technical watch, and for me this is way more a pure watch, which brings us to all the other details we want to talk about this amazing piece. As you already know, and as said also, this watch, the Tudor Pelagos FXD, was created in collaboration with the Marine Nationale, and I think it was even, you know, created on request of the Marine Nationale. So this is a really different thing. It's not like in the past with the original Marine Nationale, which the French Navy sourced watches, you know, that were already in the market and had them, you know, engraved the case back. They bought them from a dealer, not from Tudor directly, but from a dealer who, you know, had the case backs engraved and sent them then to the Marine Nationale for service. In this case, the Marine Nationale searched for a new dive watch and contacted Tudor to create a new piece for their special, you know, elite group, the Commando Hubert, which is one of the most elite, you know, combat diver unit by the French Navy. So they had special requests and special things that really are necessary for a watch that is, you know, used by these combat divers and these missions, and is really not only rugged and super strong, but also has certain qualities that are needed in this line of work. So as said, you know, we will also write an article about this watch in our magazine, an in-depth review with all the details and all, you know, the insights, many images, comparisons with Tudor MN's original ones from the past, all written by our colleague and team member Ross Povey, the #1 expert worldwide on vintage military Tudors, and a dear friend and longtime member of the team. So check this out in our magazine, and yeah, let's go on and have a look in depth also here in the watch. First of all, I want to share with you, I really love it. You know, it really has all the pureness and iconic, you know, feel to it. What I love so much in the vintage Tudor Snowflakes. So for me as a vintage lover, yeah, no, this watch ticks almost all of the boxes. And also it's called Pelagos, and it has also, you know, kind of the same shape, also the pointed crown guards and the titanium case. It has a different feel to me than the normal Pelagos, a more tool watch kind of vibe, pureness to it, and more the iconic shape of the classic Tudor MN from the past. It is all you want in a professional diving watch, and a watch that was designed specially for a purpose for the most elite combat divers of the French Navy. You know, because it has certain kind of features that are really relevant to this line of work. The watch was designed also for underwater navigation. You know, and that is important to explain because you have to understand, you know, how these people operate. In many cases, these people, you know, get out of a submariner below water lines, get out throughout a torpedo tube or certain kind of, you know, openings in the submariners. I have been reading books about SBS commanders and also Marine Nationale. It's astonishing when you imagine what kind of work they did, but also how, you know, all these processes worked. And imagine, you know, these guys are going out of a submariner and then diving often in the night, in the dark, underwater. They for hours, for miles, towards their destination. And in this mission, in this kind of work, they used not only the watch as a navigation tool, but they also often use dive boards like this one. This is an original Marine Nationale dive board from the 70s, 80s, where they have like a depth gauge and also a compass on. So what they did is, you know, they used their compass and a depth gauge, and they also used the watch, and in comparison, they, you know, use this for navigation, because what they do is they swim a certain kind of course in a certain kind of speed. They time they set their time, how long they will swim, a certain kind of course, depth and direction. Then they stop after a certain time because they know that's a certain kind of distance they have traveled, will change the course, and they will do this over and over again. So for them, it was not just a watch to read time, but really also, this is why the bezel has all the minute, you know, the minute markings. It's a 60-minute bezel, then otherwise normally civilian versions would have a 50-minute bezel. So they really could set the time on a minute, like, hey, now we swim so many minutes towards this kind of direction, then we switch, then, and so on and so on. So this is really, you know, a professional need for this kind of work, the combination of the watch and their dive boards in missions. So this is also why Tudor designed it this way, that the watch is luminous even up to the bezel. So if you put the time on the bezel, you see even, you know, that the bezel glows and keeps the light. That's what's also in there, which you not see on 70s Tudor Marine Nationales, because you had aluminium bezels that had no luminous quality. So this is something for the modern one. All the lines are readable in the dark, also under UV, and will keep glowing. So this is an important, very important detail. Also, you know, all the design of the dial, where the hour markers, this is also, you know, why the MNs and the snowflakes have that strong design, that the hour markers and the minute hand and also the hour hands are very, very visible, very strong visibility on the water. So everything in that design is created for a purpose. What we now aesthetically, you know, see as one of the most iconic designs from Tudor and you know, really pleasing for our eyes and really, you know, cool. Back then it was really for the purpose, big luminous plots, so you can really read them underwater in hazard circumstances, in stress situations and everything. So yeah, very cool feature of the watch. So with this watch, it really is design follows function, and there are more features on it that we talk. You know, one of the things that is different and maybe, you know, unused for many people these days is that the bezel in this case is bidirectional. So it's not just a matter of, like many modern dive watches, where you can only, you know, turn the bezel into one direction, but this one you can put in two directions. Again, also because of the purpose. As said, the combat divers use it to time their, you know, they're not too much their dive time and for you know, compression and stuff like this, but it's way more for, you know, setting the course and dive a certain time into a certain kind of direction, set course, change course, and, you know, find their way into the land or into the zones where they have to get to. So this one has the bidirectional quality. So when we also compare with the normal Pelagos, you know, in first glance you would say like, hey, it's very close, it's very, you know, almost kind of the same kind of design. But when you look in detail, there are quite some differences. I already talked about the bidirectional, bezel, but the case design is a completely new design. Also, as said, looks a little bit like the Pelagos, has a lot of the same kind of features, the beveled lugs, the pointed crown guard and crown kind of thing. It has a very, very important feature you see on the back, which really is a cool, detail for me. And you see it's in one piece, and completely new machinery and completely new tools have been created for this watch, because this one has the fixed lugs. And it's not that with the Rolex Milsap, where the lugs were kind of welded into the normal case, or with the Tudor MN, where the lugs, the spring bars were just loose spring bars, you could take them off. This one has fixed lugs that are integrated in the case. So it's a completely new design where the lugs are really, rugged, strong. This watch will never drop off your wrist, I'm sure. It's really integrated in the total design of the case, and created in when the case shape was designed and also created. It is all in one shape and all in one construction. So very, very strong, a very, very cool feature that is different from the normal Pelagos. That's one. Of course, it has the engraving from the MN. MN21 is this one, to mark the collaboration with the Marine Nationale. As the vintage ones didn't have like the logo of the MN, they only had MN and the year on the case back. In a deeper engraving, this one is a little bit more refined, and also shows the logo of the Marine Nationale. So it's a little bit more modern version of it. So this is one big feature. The other feature for me is what makes it interesting is when you look at my review on the original Pelagos, I always talked about that I like the dial so much of the original Pelagos because the hour markers went into the sides of the, where the dial went up, went in and gave an extra dimensional feel to it. So it was a really cool detail. Also the surface has a certain kind of grain that really feels when you loop it or you feel it in the light. Is really refined, even kind of almost not only tool watch, but also almost feels like luxurious. And this one even has that, even more, and the markers are also three-dimensional on top, have also a little surrounding on it, which I like so much. So a lot of detail, but the loom plots staying on the flat side of the dial, so it's a little bit more classic, a little bit more pureness in it than on the more technical detailed design of the normal Pelagos. So yeah, for me it's a very, very, very cool piece in this case. Also all the nice finishes and lines. It also has the matte finish on the side, the matte polish, which also is very typical. And you maybe have seen our Tudor MN video in the earlier this year, where we found some original owner Tudor MNs that also had the matted side. So we have seen it now on a few or certainly on the ones that I bought, 3 ones from original owners earlier this year, that all have also matte finishes on the sides, not the normal gloss finish you see on the most of the vintage snowflakes. Also, we have seen that on the Rolex 5513 and 17 Milsaps, that they sometimes had matted cases on the sides, and this one has it also to avoid reflection. So this is also a very, very fine, line towards the military aspect of the watch, that it, avoiding reflection, very matte finish, but it also gives that technical feel to it. So yeah, beautiful, finish of the watch. Another feature which is different to your normal Pelagos, of course, is the missing of a date function. This is really the classic no date snowflake kind of design and basic. In this case, 4 lines of text, the logo, the great, white known snowflake hands, snowflake indexes, and in this case the 60-minute bezel. All the pureness is in there, and really, really beautiful on this one. The case size is 42 millimeter, just like the normal Pelagos. So there they are the same, and as far as I know, Tudor could have easily, as they had to redesign everything in this, also redesign completely create a new machinery and toolery for the case to get this created. They could have created a smaller version of this one, which maybe personally I would have preferred it even maybe to have it 1 or 2 millimeter less size for my personal taste and the way I wear watches these days, wearing more and more Cartiers or smaller pieces lately. But as far as I know, it was even like this, that the Marine Nationale requested also the big size. So they didn't want to get it smaller, but wanted it to have bigger. I can imagine it's also the reason is because these watches get, emission strapped on your dive suit. You want to have it, visible, big. It has to be, if for professional use, it has to have that all this clearness and visibility. So I think, it's a really, really cool size for today still. And because of titanium and with a textile strap, it's really, really comfortable and doesn't sit too big on your wrist. So for me, it's 42 millimeter. It doesn't feel too big. It doesn't feel really as a huge watch, but very much as a modern, balanced version of the vintage piece. One of the main features for me in this watch is really the solution for the fixed spring bars. And this is really, not only what I like and also what really adds to the vibe of the watch, but also where it really leaves the comparison with the normal Pelagos. Because it adds some real pureness and almost kind of, mechanical pureness to the watch. It is a simple solution to a very, very important, requirement for these watches. They have to stick on your arm in any situation because they are mission important. And this is, combined with all the refined lines, with all the angles, the beveled lugs, the finishes and everything. So it really has that fantastic contrast between almost like a laser cut kind of pure form shape block of titanium that is shaped into suddenly that refined and iconic piece of not only jewelry on your wrist, but tool for the really professional diver. So it really has that friction between the pureness and the designerish kind of stylish kind of side, which I really love and is very vibrant and makes you look at it again and again and again. So yeah, a really, really, really hit for Tudor with this one. Design follows function in its, maybe in its best way these days, and a really great release that we really love and happy to have in front of our camera on our wrist, and hope to share with you the passion for these kind of watches. By the way, one last important detail why it's different from your normal Pelagos is the lack of a certain detail that is on the Pelagos and isn't on this watch, is the helium valve on the side of your case. Maybe not clear for all you people, why there is a helium valve or not. Helium valves have been created at the end of the 60s and used since the early 70s on the Comex watches, the 5514 by Rolex, and also the Sea Dwellers, and in this case also on the Pelagos. And it's a special valve that, gives you the option for not so much the air, but the helium the divers were using in deep dives. Instead of normal oxygen, they used helium because you could dive deeper and the sickness was less and all these kind of details. But helium had the kind of situation that when you went deep and the helium, when you came up again, the helium was expanding way more than normal air and watches exploded. Literally 5513s and dive watches without the helium valve in the 60s and experiments just exploded when the divers came up and the pressure, built it up again. So what they did is they created a little valve where the extra pressure can, escape. That's why it's called an escape valve, and kept the watches safe because they were really important to the people. But this watch doesn't have it, quite simply because the people who are using these kind of watches are diving. The military are not diving in really deep waters. They are diving rather in shallow waters. They don't go 100 or 200 meters down to the ocean floor to work on pipelines, but they, you know, they swim under the surface, under the water lines, maybe up to 10 or 15 meters down, to swim into enemy territory. So it's a different kind of use. So that's why this one doesn't have the valve like the original MNs also. Also, a very cool feature of this watch is the textile strap with the Velcro, you know, closing. It's unusual maybe for many, but also just as the same of the watch, it's totally designed for a purpose, but even also it's designed for a professional purpose, and certainly also for, you know, used by the professional divers, so they could strap them on very easily over their, you know, dive suit, and after missions can put it normally on the wrist, so they can change sizes and everything. That's why the Velcro is so simple and also very sturdy and strong. It's still, even, you know, what I like so much about it is that it has such a cool, maybe even stylish vibe, that it's even suitable for us desk jockeys and, you know, guys who would use these watches in an urban atmosphere in our normal daily life and not in our professional diving career. An interesting detail on these kind of straps Tudor creates, and I really love them. You know, I have seen how they create them, but also I know that they are really valuable and they take a lot of effort to create their textile straps. They are mainly created in France in old, you know, weaving factories that use all these old machines to really refined weaving these kind of straps, and you feel it. They are so soft and so comfortable, completely different than most of the other ones I've seen in the market. And whenever you buy a modern Tudor, make sure you also get one of their textile straps with it, because they are really, really nice and refined and cool to wear. As said, you know, we really love the fabric and textile straps Tudor creates. They are so, you know, so nicely created. But of course, I couldn't resist to also put this watch on some of our own straps, some of the leather NATO straps or nylon NATO straps. You will see the pictures also in this video, but also in our magazine article, just to see, you know, a little bit of different vibe to that watch. What happens if you put it on a little bit of different, you know, tone or color, how different it will look. And maybe also for your urban use, it gives it a little for a different vibe, for a different occasion. So yeah, enjoy also these images. So I think it's clear by now that I really love this watch, and that we feel Tudor created a great success with this one. It's as said, you know, it's created for a purpose and done in perfection for that. So the total watch is just not only for these professional, you know, divers and combat divers, but really also for us, you know, watch lovers that use it in a daily use with your, you know, denim kind of style or whatever kind of style you use it. It's really a talking piece, which I really like. You know, when you have this one on the wrist, it really takes your attention, and it really is a talking piece and opens up discussion with other watch lovers. So I really want to congratulate Tudor with a great success and a great design. My friends, you did a great job with this one. Really, truly the successor to one of your most iconic watches out there, and I really love it. So I hope you will get yours soon, and you will enjoy yours on many adventures in your life and on many occasions where a cool blue snowflake is really the right one to wear. So enjoy it, and check out our, you know, online review in our magazine article with the many pictures. And yeah, let us know what you think about it. We are really looking forward to hear also from you how you love it and how you wear it. Thanks very much, and stay tuned for the next episodes of Watch Passion that we talk about.